Lucas, a 14-year-old boy, trudges home through the dimly lit streets of his neighborhood. The weight of his day hangs heavily on his shoulders. He's been working late at a small, underfunded grocery store to help support his sick mother and younger siblings. The neighborhood is run down, with buildings that have seen better days, and streets that seem to weigh down everyone who walks them. Lucas's family has always struggled, but his mother's illness has made things worse. The burden weighs heavily on him. Despite all the challenges life has thrown his way, Lucas has always kept a kind heart, always looking out for others who may be suffering, despite having little himself. But his hope for a better life seems like an impossible dream, especially when he faces the constant prejudice and discrimination that his neighborhood is notorious for. There's a sense of hopelessness that clings to his every step as he walks home in the dark, just trying to make it to the next day. His life has always been one of survival, just getting by in a world that seems to have forgotten people like him. One evening, as Lucas walks home, lost in thought about his family's struggles, he hears a faint cry for help. His heart skips a beat as he scans the street searching for the source. The voice is weak but unmistakable. Someone is in trouble. Without a second thought, Lucas follows the sound down an alley where the shadows grow darker. There, lying on the cold ground, is a pregnant woman struggling to breathe, bloodstains on her clothes. She appears to have been hurt. Lucas's first instinct is to help her, even though he doesn't know who she is. As he kneels beside her, trying to offer assistance, he notices something that leaves him frozen for a moment. The woman is none other than Judge Sarah Campbell, a well-known figure in the city, famous for her harsh stance on crime. Judge Campbell is infamous for sentencing many young people from neighborhoods like Lucas's to harsh punishments, and Lucas has heard about her for years. She is both feared and respected by some, but despised by others. Lucas's first thought is to run, to avoid getting involved in something that could put him in more danger. After all, he has seen the consequences of people like him getting entangled with powerful figures like Judge Campbell. But as he looks at her pale face and hears her faint gasps for air, something inside him shifts. Despite the prejudice she may have held in the courtroom, she is still a human being, and he can't bring himself to leave her there alone. Without a second thought, Lucas gathers all his strength and gently lifts her, trying to move her away from the alley. But he knows he can't carry her for long. He's too small, too weak. Lucas looks around desperately, his mind racing. There's no one around to help. It's just him and the injured woman in the dark alley. His heart pounds in his chest as he makes the split-second decision to carry her home. The rain begins to fall in heavy sheets, and the streets grow slick beneath his feet. Each step feels like an impossible challenge, his muscles aching from the weight of the woman on his back. But Lucas pushes forward. His breath comes in ragged bursts, but he refuses to slow down. He can feel the weight of her body on his back, but he also feels a growing determination. He can't let her down. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, Lucas's small apartment comes into view. It's a cramped space, filled with the clutter of a family just trying to survive. His mother, Nana June, looks up in surprise when she hears the door burst open. Her expression changes to concern as she sees the woman Lucas carries, blood-stained and barely conscious. "Who is that?" Nana June asks, her voice shaking with worry. Lucas, struggling to catch his breath, quickly explains, "It's a judge, Mama. I found her in the alley." Without hesitation, Nana June rushes to help, despite her own exhaustion. She takes charge, guiding Lucas to lay the woman down on the couch, covering her with a blanket and trying to stop the bleeding. Lucas's younger siblings huddle in the corner, watching the scene with wide eyes, unsure of what's happening. Slowly, the injured woman stirs, groaning in pain. As her eyes flicker open, she looks around in confusion, her gaze landing on Lucas. For a moment, she doesn't seem to recognize him. "Where am I?" she asks weakly, her voice hoarse. "Who are you?" Lucas hesitates for a moment, but then answers softly, "You're safe now. My name's Lucas, and this is my mother, Nana June. We're just helping you. You were hurt, and we couldn't leave you there." The woman tries to sit up, but pain causes her to gasp and lean back against the couch. Her hand presses to her side. Despite the vulnerability she now feels, there's still a hint of the walls she built over years of making harsh judgments in the courtroom. As the night passes, the woman listens to Lucas and Nana June. They speak about their lives, about surviving in a world that often seems to overlook people like them. Lucas shares his dreams of a better future, of helping his mother and making something of himself. His words aren't filled with bitterness, but with a quiet understanding of the uphill battle he faces. The woman listens intently, her heart heavy with the weight of their stories. She begins to question her previous judgments. Could it be that she had been wrong in the past? As the night goes on, the woman's internal conflict grows. She reflects on the harshness of her past decisions. She wonders if the young people she once sentenced so harshly were the result of circumstances beyond their control. Had she really understood their struggles? The realization hits her like a wave. She questions the fairness of her past judgments and wonders how many lives she may have ruined. The next morning, Lucas wakes up feeling a knot in his stomach. The events from the night before linger heavily in his mind. As he walks into the kitchen to help his mother, the phone rings. His heart skips a beat when he hears the officer on the other end of the line. "Is this Lucas Robinson?" the officer asks sternly. Lucas answers nervously, "Yes, who is this?" "You're requested to appear in court immediately. You're facing charges of kidnapping and assaulting Judge Caroline Whitfield. Report to the courthouse now." Lucas's heart races. He can't make sense of the words. Kidnapping? Assault? "I saved her life, not harmed her," Lucas thinks, but the officer hangs up before he can explain. His mother, Nana June, enters the room. She already knows what's happening. Her face is filled with a mix of concern and anger. "Lucas, we have to go. They're not going to listen, but we have to stand up for you," she says, grabbing his hand tightly. The courtroom is packed. The air is thick with tension. Everyone's eyes are on Lucas as he stands before the judge. The prosecutor steps forward, pointing at Lucas with accusations. "This boy, Lucas Robinson, illegally detained Judge Caroline Whitfield in his home. He assaulted her and kept her against her will," the prosecutor declares. The words hit Lucas like a slap in the face. This isn't the truth, but no one seems to care. Lucas's mother pleads with the court, her voice shaking with emotion. "Please, you have to understand. My son saved her life. He didn't hurt her. He couldn't just leave her there to die." But despite her pleas, the courtroom leans toward the narrative that Lucas acted maliciously. The media already has their story. A boy from a poor neighborhood tried to harm a respected judge. The room is filled with anticipation as everyone waits for Judge Whitfield to speak. Would she side with the system? Or would she finally see the truth? The silence is deafening as Judge Whitfield rises from her seat. All eyes are on her. She clears her throat before speaking. "I was wrong," she says, and the entire courtroom falls silent. Lucas's heart races, unable to process the words. This is not the judge he thought he knew. Judge Whitfield continues, I've made judgments throughout my career that were based on biases. I've judged young people like Lucas without understanding their lives. I've sentenced them without truly seeing them for who they are. The words hang in the air, and Lucas can barely breathe as he stands frozen in place. Judge Whitfield's voice is steady as she addresses the courtroom. This young man, Lucas, has shown more courage in one act of kindness than many will show in a lifetime. She looks directly at Lucas, her eyes filled with sincerity. He saved my life. He showed me more compassion than I've ever experienced, and he did it without asking for anything in return. The courtroom is silent as the magnitude of her words settles in. People exchange glances, unsure of how to process this new side of the woman who had once been a symbol of harsh justice. Judge Whitfield continues, her voice now firm and resolute. For years, I've made decisions that didn't consider the whole picture. I've sentenced young people like Lucas to harsh punishments without truly understanding their lives, their struggles. Her gaze softens as she looks at Lucas again. I have wronged many people, and for that, I am truly sorry. There is a long silence as the courtroom processes her words. Some are shocked, others are moved, but the shift in the atmosphere is undeniable. Judge Whitfield stands tall, her voice growing more powerful. I've learned something important today. It's not enough to just enforce the law. We need to see the people behind the law, understand their struggles, and give them the chance they deserve. The crowd is silent, hanging on every word. Then, with a sense of finality, she speaks again. I will not punish Lucas. Instead, I will use my position to make things right. The courtroom is in disbelief as Judge Whitfield makes an unexpected announcement. I am launching a justice reform program. This program will provide support to underprivileged youth like Lucas, giving them the resources and opportunities they need to succeed. The room erupts in applause, but Lucas stands frozen, overwhelmed by the magnitude of what is happening. Then Judge Whitfield turns to Lucas with a gentle smile. You will be the first to benefit from this program, Lucas. And, as part of my apology, I'm offering you a full scholarship. You deserve a future beyond the one you were born into. Lucas's mind races. This can't be real. The same judge who had once condemned kids like him to harsh sentences is now offering him a chance at a future. Thank you, Lucas whispers, his voice trembling with emotion as the applause continues. The applause grows louder, but for Lucas, the noise fades into the background. In that moment, he knows that his life has just been changed forever. As Lucas walks out of the courtroom, he feels a weight lift off his shoulders. For the first time in his life, he feels like he has a real chance. He may have started as a boy from a broken neighborhood, but now he was a boy with a future he could shape with his own hands. His heart swells with gratitude, and for the first time, he dares to dream. Lucas's story would be remembered as a turning point, a moment when kindness and courage sparked a change that rippled through the lives of so many others.